So let's take a look at what would be a very efficient approach how to build this vessel. If you break this one down into geometrical problems or objects, you see this is symmetrical, that's a cylinder. Most of the lower body is symmetrical, so it's also another cylinder. Just the part in between deforms, so it looks like a blend. And it also makes a transition from something more flat to perfectly circular. So this actually tells me already how I could approach building this one. So let's go to alias. And I'm going to start with a half circle, 180 degrees. Maybe I set this one to degree 6, so I have enough points. Click, go, click. And actually, this one I would like to go onto this layer. There, wrong layer. So the main reason why, for example, I selected this half circle, you see like how the CVs are positioned. The first two and the last two are perpendicular to the mirror axis, so I get actually perfect G1 tangency along there. So all I can do in this case, for example, is maybe let's sculpt this part slightly by, for example, scaling it. So you're going to scale, top view, and for example, middle mouse button, I stretched this one out. Right mouse button there, and maybe this point I'm going to snap to something like this. The rest I don't really touch. If I move them, really make sure you move them together. And there is actually in this situation a tool I would like to introduce you to, Object Edit, the symmetry. Basically what this is doing, it is making sure that the objects are symmetrical to the plane. So I can, for example, click here and maybe click there. Now I break the construction history because you can only do this on one part. But basically what this is doing is, let me show you, if I select this point and for example move it, see the other one snaps back. So there will always be G1 tangency. Okay, so this circle, for example, is really good. So I could copy and paste, transform, move it up. And what happened there? That's not the way how it should have been. Copy and paste, move, and move it up. So let's eyeball somewhat the proportion. Maybe like this. Okay, good. Then let's go back. I do the same. Click. I am maybe scaling this one a little bit down. And then I'm moving this one up. And I try to see that, for example, this blue line shoots over here, so I can get this flow. Okay, good. Actually, let me see one thing. Is this object rotated? Yes, it is. So minus 43. Perfect, good. I'm going to reset my pivot point. I'm going to CV, click, right mouse button, click something down. This actually can be just a degree 1. And then this one also minus 43. The main reason is this one basically describes the upper corner, and at the same time I can use that also for this. So I can move this one somewhere else, snap, copy and paste, control click snap, then I select this one, copy and paste, snap, go to here. Okay, so now for example I can maybe create myself a degree 5 curve, control click, nothing, control click, nothing, and I do one here for the moment, because the main reason what I'm doing here right now is actually I'm going to create myself a reference curve. So this one to this one, there, here and here, here to this line, and you see those are all G2 alignments. Yeah, let's take a look. So you can see, for example, how much this bevels or bellies in. Maybe we can select all those, move, and maybe move this around, and you see how you get some nice transitions. I'm going to reset the pivot point for all to there, because then if I go to rotate, middle mouse button, I can change this, for example, a little bit, and maybe move this a little bit to there. Okay, so this is kind of like my curve layout. Let's quickly take a look at some surfacing options. So I can go to skin and say hue to hue. Okay, and for example here I use this one, a rail surface, check continuity. Of course I can't really check anything because you don't really see, there's no surface attached, but now for example I can click here under check continuity, G1. So I want to make sure that, for example, along those edges the surfaces are tangent to the mirror plane, and as you see they all are. I don't really like how flat this stuff is, so I am going to select maybe those points, move, middle mouse button, pull this out a little bit. Okay, so yeah, let's leave it at this for a moment. Good. So I'm going to select those two surfaces, put them to here, surface, let's turn this one off, and again let's check, and check, and check. Okay, good. Delete all locators. So now comes the next part. How do we do best this transition? And actually I decided, well, we can use rail or square or blend surface, but actually this one is going to be very easy. We can simply create to each surface, whoa, a skin. So let's see what happened here. So skin, hue to hue, there, that's the way how it should look. Okay, so you see right now it says P because it's positional. Continuity, G0, and that's perfect, that's good. So what I'm going to do right now is actually go to align, G2, edge, and then say hue. Okay, I'm going to break, I'm going to remove, oh, oops, forgot one part. We need more geometry. This one needs to be a degree 5, because those curves I drew first were degree 5 as well. So now I can go to align, sorry for the hiccup, hue to hue, G2, that's all good. Check continuity, you see a C, perfect. And then here to there, that's also clean, good. Then let's cross fingers, turn on symmetry, because now we have to check those edges. We know those are tangent and this one is not tangent. So is this one. Let's see what's going on here. This is positional only. So this is not good. Now we have to figure out maybe what could be the problem for this, because this shouldn't really actually happen. So maybe one way could be we use symmetry onto all surfaces now. So I'm turning symmetry off. And actually, hold on, before that, I turn my locators on here, because I want to remain seeing those. Then symmetry, yes, yes, and yes. So now all those edges are perfect. Let's click here, click there, click there. Okay. So you see this way, there might have been some sort of problem. And let's go tangent. Oh, still doesn't work. Oh, see, actually this one works now. Great. See, so one part I was able to fix. This is interesting. Where did this one get it from? G1. Oh, I might have actually clicked a bad edge there. See, all this works now. And those are, of course, G2. Perfect. There it is. So you see again the process. You create surface profiles, you create surfaces, and then at one point you break the construction history, because we have to align all those surfaces to get really perfect transitions. Now we can delete, for example, all the locators. And I'm creating a new surface, for example, insert. And I would like to create an offset from this surface. So I'm eyeballing roughly how much I would like to go in. Click offset, OK, and then this surface, I am moving on to that layer. Let's actually turn on symmetry, and here you see another problem. It is very pinched. So if we check, tangency is yellow, doesn't work. G2 anyway. So doesn't work. And the problem is basically the offset, well, broke the the continuity actually. The edges meet perfectly, I think. Let's see. Yeah, see, so positional works, but that's not what we want. So how do we fix this? Well, this is pretty simple. We go again to the symmetry plane align tool, click, and let's zoom in. Oh, there you can actually see how it's inverted. See like how it dips in. So click and pay attention to how it slightly adjusts. So let's check for tangency now. There. And there. Great. See? That worked. So let's show the other one. And let's compare maybe from below how they look. Of course, every rounded part will shrink. It can look different. So you see this is a little bit more pinched. So we can either try to sculpt this a little bit more, or for example, maybe those points, for example, we can adjust if we want to. Oh, you see also here those points actually maybe we can pull out a little bit more. So I zoom in, nothing. Then let's select CV here, And actually I try to do it at the same time with those, so it's symmetrical. Move along the y-axis, middle mouse button. See, I'm rounding this out a little bit. Let's take a look at the other one. Yeah. Perfect. So, let's make sure one last time that everything works with the symmetry. Okay, it's all good. And I think this one is ready. So now we have our internals surface. Now we can create the layer for the profiles. So let's take a look at how we do now the part for creating the linear transition between the outside and the inside surface. Let me show you first how I have everything created. So for example, I have two very simple 2-degree curves. The CV and the center bends this curve a little bit out. And you see I have degree 3 curves here, which then, for example, blend into those center lines via the Align tool. So that's actually pretty easy. Now, I made myself a copy of those 6 curves and put them onto this layer. And the main reason for that is I have to modify those curves, and I'm going to show you a different approach now. And let me move those out a little bit so you see what we're going to do there. So the problem I have is I would like those curves to be nicely bent over my bottle. And around here, this is not really going to create any big problem. But here, the bottle has a lot of, how could I say that, deformation. Think about the bottle surface as kind of like a mold. We're going to press this wire curve over. And to make a good fit, we need to have sufficient amount of points to be able to recreate this curve, or the way how the surface bends, with those curves. So it's actually good to do, because sometimes we have to trick around a little bit. I'm going to create myself another layer, and then I'm going to select those two and those two, copy, paste, put them on there. So I just have a backup. So what we're going to do now is actually first I'm going to change all those curves into maybe a degree 5. Okay, accept. So from the side, for example, I can see where all these control points are. This area clearly will not be a problem, but here, for example, you can see 1, 2, 3 control vertices along this long distance. It has to bend around here. That might be problematic. So let me show you how the project, instead of curves on surface, curve fit onto the surface works. So the difference between curves on surface is it's basically redrawing a curve on the surface. Here I can quickly do this so you see the difference. See all those points, which is a pretty good match, but the problem is it's a very dense curve. However, if we go this way, and then I say this surface, spacebar, along the y-axis, you see this is my y-axis, this curve, spacebar. It will take a second, and then there you see now the same curve, same control points, just resketched. And what I'm really looking for is, you see this max 0.02. That basically describes maybe the deviation or the distance between the curve and the surface, how far it matches. And this, for example, is not really good. Also, just as a reminder, go to construction settings, set it to CATIA 5. So for example, you get a good curve fitting distance. This is kind of like where we want to go to. And let's try the span maybe out with those two curves. Because you see, 0, 0, it's a perfect match. This was very, very easy for the software to figure out. So now, easy way to solve this problem is simply this curve we need to split. So we can go to detach, and for example, I can click and slide, and maybe I do it here. Spacebar, spacebar. You see now we have more control points. So let's see. This surface, this curve, spacebar. Takes a second to calculate. There. So you know it's 0, 0, 4. Much better fit. Okay, I'm going to do all these curves and then I'm back in a second. So here I'm back, and you see I have generally pretty good matches. Okay, so the whole idea is that those are really nice and simple curves. The amount of endpoints is very, very small, and when you project a curve onto a surface, so it really is on it, you have a ton of spans. You don't want that. So I'm actually going to select those, and I'm going to create myself a new layer, put it on it there. Let's turn it off, and let's delete the locators. I'm going to select those curves and turn off the CV. Okay, great. So let's save. And for those curves, I'm going to remove the construction history. Okay. Now we can, for example, try to see how we can create the transition, maybe with the blend control, G0 position. If you click on an edge and you click on an edge, and somewhere the edge, for example, is not completely selected, well, you have chain select. That happened to me before, and I'm 100% sure that I did everything correct. But it can happen when, for example, you have a curve and you go to align and say align this curve to here, that maybe by accident you move this point up or down. So always make sure that this is really touching the endpoint and is not maybe resting on it. Interestingly, I had this happen twice with me, and I know I did not even move these points. But that's pretty much the way how you can prevent that. So let's go visible, all those surfaces and curves be on this layer. Okay, and then let's go back, click and click. Then you see I have this Bezier surface turned on. I think what surface type do we have? Signal surface, for example, you see we would have 119, so we go multi-surface, and when we turn on this Bezier, we get surfaces with no spans. See like the difference. The span lines are gone. Okay, this is fantastic. Let's click next. Okay, so this is good. For example, let's make a save and let's make a check. For example, tangency. You see between those surfaces, tangency is perfect. Let's check maybe, oh, I would like to select that curve here and height. Let's go G0. Oh yeah, sorry, that doesn't even work yet because we didn't trim anything yet. So let's turn off symmetry, and also those surfaces have to be all on the same layer. That's the reason why actually this one didn't work. Or maybe I actually have to trim first. Okay, good. My fault. Let's go to trim. We go to 3D trim, 3D project, chain select, and then I have this surface, spacebar, click on an edge. It has to completely select the edge. If it does not, the surfaces do not rest on each other. Spacebar, click the part I would like to keep. Let's select the other surface, spacebar, click this area, spacebar. And there we cut everything. Great, so now we can remove that tool. You see it's not very difficult. Let's check, for example, our positioning in there. You see there are some problems here and there. Down here it's all fine. And actually I have a lot of surfaces that don't match. Now, what could that be? Well, see, there are gaps, and the gaps seem to be too big. I could actually go back and when I had those curves, instead of a degree 5, make a degree 6, so I have more points. So, because what I can do also is go to G0, project, and then say, yes, destroy this edge to the surface, and then maybe this edge to here. See, I'm lining up those edges. Okay, so this all fits, but I'm concerned about here. Tangent, 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 tangent. Okay, this all actually still worked out, so I'm going to pause. So there you see, I'm back. So all those surfaces actually work out right now. So let's turn on the symmetry because I would like to check this part and this part, and I assume this actually might not really work. So let's go to align, symmetry, and I select this edge. Yeah, okay, there something broke, there another thing broke. Okay, then let's go back to align, positional, and say this edge to here, and let's go to there and say this edge to there. Maybe I need more points. Let's see. Okay, doesn't want to work. Okay, let's. I think this was a degree 5. Okay, accept. So this is a problem now. What came? Oh wait, what's this? G0? Oh, doesn't work. Good. Delete. And let's go to wireframe mode. I don't know what this curve there is doing. There. Okay. So, let's go back for a second. I think tangent. Wrong. This one down there works. So, for example, let's see. Maybe we can actually split the surface. Go. And let's check what degree we have there. Surface. This one. So maybe let's ungroup everything. And there you see, maybe I start getting some more problems. So this edge to here still doesn't really work. So this actually might not be a problem of resolution. Oh, actually no, there, this one worked. Okay, accept. Let's check. No. Yeah, so, okay. At this point, maybe it might be simply better if I try to fix this. Maybe I could have solved this one to by recreating this blend curve, the last one, maybe with a higher degree, so I have more control points. So here I'm back, and let me click this one. You see I changed them all actually to a degree 7, so I have quite a sufficient amount of control points to work with. Then let's go to project this surface, spacebar, all those edges, spacebar, and you see 002, 003, 0003, 0005, so this is actually pretty good. This one, spacebar, click, 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 and click, spacebar, there. You also notice actually the calculation went pretty fast because Alias had more control points to work with, which made it actually easier to retrace or bend this curve over that surface. Okay, so let's select those curves and invisible. Then I could, for example, go to the freeform blend and say here to here. Okay, there. See all the different parts. I'm going to select all those curves and actually hide them. Then I will go to 3D trim, select this object, spacebar, those chain edges, spacebar, and here keep. And then this surface, spacebar, those edges, spacebar, click and keep. Let's take a look. Not too bad. So now watch this. G1. Perfect. Even here along the symmetry. Not down there. that one decided not to. And there you see actually all those seem to work. So this is now interesting. You see this one is T, so really be careful when you click on the check continuity, you click on the correct lines, because I got a few times already confused with what Alias was telling me there. So there we see actually this was pretty much a no-brainer, very easy. Much less labor work than what I tried before to align everything. And I thought this actually is a good overview to see the problem sometimes you have and why, for example, I work with duplicate curves on different layers. So I try something out, and once it doesn't work, I go back to the layer where I have my master parts, change some degrees, push it back over, and even those curves basically come from the original curves I had somewhere else. Or did I override them? I must have by accident actually moved them not onto the correct layer. So keep on profiles always really your raw layers, and then on another layers make copies, work with them, because sometimes, as you see, you have to do some testing to figure out how can you create those transitions that really are good quality. We have many surfaces here, which of course is a little bit annoying if you want to see it that way, but we don't have any spans on it, and the math is just really good and perfect. So that's actually the benefit of this approach. So those curves, actually I'm going to move to this layer, and then to finish this design, we can put back, for example, our bottle up here. Where do I have the surface? Let's see. There are those surfaces. Oh, they're the original parts. So for example, this one and this one, I can make a copy and paste maybe to here. There, let's check for a moment continuity. That's still good. Good. So all those parts perfectly aligned to each other. I could, with the planar surface, cap the bottom part, and doesn't work this way, so I'm going to Control Alt, make myself a simple line, planar, don't change, select, go this arc and this line, spacebar. For example, if I want to, or I could make all the geometry, which might have been actually a better approach. G1, tangent, U, spacebar to U. Let's take a look at the radius. See, I have all my continuity sliders turned on, so I can see actually if something might break already. Next. Now it creates those surfaces for me. Nothing. Let's actually check G1 there. Oh, those parts are not on the correct layer, so here everything onto this layer. I want to should work there as well. No, actually I can go ahead and check. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe there's no match. Should. Oh, we can align this one afterwards. And then you would do the same with the fillet. For example, this surface, spacebar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think my counting was slightly off. Maybe 3, spacebar. That's still working. And there are some minor annoyances down there. So let's make this one 5 and next. Ah, see, worked there. Now there's a small problem. So I think this one we should be able to fix by simply maybe hopefully doing that with the align tool again. So that should be tangent, so G1. So yes, this edge to this edge. Okay. Now let's see. There are still some small problems. I would have to see why this one breaks now. Sure, really. I mean, it should be fine. And then we would have to round those edges as well. For example, with the surface blend tool, I could cap this one. And for the moment, leave it at this. And then I will have to see what's going on there. So I took a look at where maybe the problem could be, and I noticed something. Everything still looks somewhat okay. But check out what happens when I zoom really in. So I assume because the surfaces touch each other, but the grid doesn't really line up, there might be some sort of a confusion. So I was curious. Now, what happens when I select those surfaces? Turn on the control points, select just those edge points, because this is a really tiny distance, and try to see if maybe by moving it, I press Control and Alt and align it to there. Let's see if this really should. So I snapped it to there, nothing. Let's select the surfaces, turn all this off. Okay, now let's go back to G1. Correct, 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 correct. Let's check here, correct, correct. And now let's check this one. Correct. So you see, all I needed to do was clean up the mesh a little bit so that, for example, those lines fit. One last check here. There's, for example, another problem. So this is positional 10. So let's see what we can do there. Symmetry there. Let's check. Works. Okay. Tangent, tangent, tangent. So that problem got fixed as well. Let's do the last check down here. There's another problem there. So I do exactly the same. And you see tangency works. And just to double check, let's select this patch. Here now something is broken. So I'm zoom in and try to see if maybe there everything is okay. So let's see if maybe I have to use the align tool here. So I click this edge to there. Yeah, so I realigned it. Those tangencies seem all to work. Okay. But let's double check. G1, 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 G1. Good. Great. So this is basically the way then how you can fix something. Also at this point, actually, I would like to introduce you to the idea of primary and secondary surface. So for example, those side surfaces that we created are considered primary surfaces. This stuff in between, that's actually considered secondary surface, because they make a transition. They're not necessarily perfectly defining the design. So I just touched up some of the secondary surfaces. And in case, for example, there might be a real big problem, let's actually try this one out. In theory, this should work. Here I'm going to select everything, delete the construction history, and then, okay, let's go to ungroup. There, go. Apple U or Control U. So it's ungrouped. Let's select this one, delete it. And for example, let's go in with a square tool, and I think I should be able to select all squares. You see, it's a perfect match. I mean, all these edges line up, which is why it was really important. So now I could go ahead and say tangent, 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 tangent. And technically speaking, I rebuilt the same surface, and it's all tangent as well. So this is, for example, a third way in case your grid layout is good and the align tool is too problematic. Throw it out and just rebuild some of those secondary surfaces. Okay, I think that is pretty much everything regarding this this bottle. I hope that actually the whole process makes sense, and you start seeing the difference between conceptual modeling and then really producing quality surfaces based on that stuff.